Well, good morning everybody. Dashing back to the camera, got the camera all set up and into a lovely position on a very early composition, and you get over there, look back at the tripod and think, oh my god, that is on the verge of tipping over. Anyway, got back and it's fine. Happy now that I'm here, back with it, and everything's all safe again. But I've just literally walked from the van and walked under this chestnut tree. We've got lovely, flat, beautiful light this morning, and I'm just shooting up to, there's two chestnut leaves that are just opening up, and I'm using negative space around the chestnut trees. There's a big area of open white just expanse beneath it, and then you've got this lovely shaping of some leaves to the left hand side. But I just want to grab this quickly and then I will show you the composition, because that's really quite nice, very spring-like. It's just the sort of image that I'm looking for this morning, with that little bit of artistic input added to it. I'll show you that on the back of the camera now. Hopefully you can now see that composition which I've just put on screen, and I'll just point out, if it's not already obvious, what I've gone for here. So you can see this big expanse of negative space here, which is just helping to really put those chestnut leaves in that beautiful place off to that top right. And then of course, very simply, you've got a group of out of focus leaves just on the left hand side, just creating that gorgeous frame. Now I've deliberately overexposed the shot. If I just dial that down to the correct exposure, I don't feel it looks anywhere near as interesting and as artistic as it does when you burn it out ever so slightly. Plus you get that beautiful light coming through those fresh greens when you do that. Now I'm just going to show you a little bit of repositioning. Now if I put the leaves into a more conventional composition such as there, you can see the problem I've got. I probably would have gone for this as well, but you can see now, you can see the branch of the leaf just up here where the bud has opened, and that's not a particularly appealing thing to have in the image. So I've just arranged the composition just to nick that out and complete the composition. And like I say, I really love that negative space that I've got there. Now I've got the ISO at 800 because, as you can see, there's a little bit of movement in the leaves, and I definitely want to freeze that. I'm only at 60th of a second, so it's not very fast at all. So I am waiting for that opportunistic moment to grab the shot. So I'll put that on now. So I need to be very careful this morning. It's that time of year when the woodland is coming alive with all its fresh foliage. The bluebells, to a large extent, are out on the banking at the back of me. There's lots of beautiful fresh green foliage, and there are plenty of those obvious compositions if I go looking for them, but I'm trying not to do that today. I want to just wander through the woodland. Just hear a jay, a couple of jays going over. Typically they stop squawking when I call them out. But no, I just want to have a mindful walk through the woodland and just let the compositions come to me. I'm definitely not going to fall into that trap of having that preconceived idea. And that last image of the horse chestnut leaves really does provide a good example of that this morning. Just being open to all the opportunities that the woodland presents you with at this time of year. And just enjoy listening to the sounds. Very much alive places like this at this time of year. And what you've got to remember is that blink and it'll be summer. So make the most of it while you can. So just cross this little dry stream bed here, and the S-curve, hopefully you can see it, of these Ramsons has caught my attention. Now, admittedly the Ramsons aren't flowering yet, but I like that. I like the simple green that I've got without being too showy, which is probably what I'm looking for this morning. They've got the S-curve of the stream bed, and then at the background, hopefully that comes through, is some beautiful fresh green foliage of a young beech tree, and that's going to give me some nice contrast. So I've got the S-curve, the lovely dark green of the Ramsons, and then the fresh green foliage of the beech in the background. I think that just might work as a composition. Just take that quickly. So I've got my 35 to 90mm lens on. It's at 90mm, and I'm using a square crop because that really fits the composition nicely. Not a crop I go for very often, to be honest, but you've got this lovely leading line running through the image, and it works so well with that fresh green foliage at the end, at the top of the composition, should I say. I don't think I need it, but I am just going to take a second shot for the rear part of the image, just so it's a little bit of a focus stack if I need it. Currently I'm on f16, so I should get everything I need with that, but let's just have a quick look at the composition now, and then I'll put the image up. So camera into position. You can see that lovely green foliage, that fresh green foliage at the back, how it contrasts so nicely with the dark greens of the Ramsons there. You can see my composition off to the right hand side. I've got a square crop, and you can just see that little S-curve running through, but I'll show you that in more detail in just a second. 35 to 90mm lens on f16 and a half-second exposure. I've put the ISO down to 64 now because everything is lovely and still. In fact, I'm just going to take a quick one now whilst it's beautifully still at this moment in time. And I am just going to take a second one just as a backup, as a focus stack, just in case I need it. I think f16 will give me what I need, but I'll just show you the composition now on the back of the camera. So there is the composition. Now the focus app that I'm using doesn't put the masks on, so I'll just quickly put that on, then you can appreciate the composition in more detail. So there you go. You can see the two images that I took. The first one obviously is of the close-up area here, which is nice and easy to take, and then the second one, as you can see, the background there is completely out of focus. Like I say, f16, I'm probably going to get it all in anyway, but I'll just take another one just there, just as a banker, just in case when I get it back to the computer there's ever such a small softening effect of those rear leaves in the background. I want this to be incredibly sharp all the way through, and focus stacking does allow you to have that. Because it's f16, the overlaps between the two images will be huge, so I don't need to worry about taking lots of images at that aperture. If I were working at f4.5, of course, I would have had to take a lot of images to stitch together, but there'd been absolutely no reason in doing that for a scene like this. 2 images is sufficient. I will just take it again now so you can see it in camera. So there's the first one, nice and sharp on that leaf with the water droplets on it. Get that in the bag, and then probably halfway through the frame, not all the way to the back, just on that Ramson flower that's sticking out, and grab that second one. Like I say, f16, half a second, and 64 ISO, and at the moment I'm on auto white balance, so I'll put that on now. So nothing demonstrates the downside of invasive non-native species like this particular scene does. I was tempted to photograph this as an environmental shot, but it's not what I wanted to get involved in today, but I am going to show you. Let me just grab the little video camera, then we've got some better context. So just here you've got the beautiful wild garlic, and the shot I was thinking about was this particular angle here. So you can see this is the wild garlic. Down here we got opposite leaf golden saxifrage. Beautiful native woodland plants, but all this stuff here, get my finger in the shot, all this stuff here, and I've mentioned it before on the channel, Himalayan balsam. And what's really striking about this image is you've got that one plant in that sea of balsam, and it just really demonstrates just what the balsam is doing to the native plants in the woodland. It's just become isolated, one defiant little plant, still trying to make its mark in amongst all these horrible balsam plants. I would recommend anybody that comes across this, especially if there's not a lot of it in a particular woodland where they live, to pull it up as much as they can, try and get rid of it, because once it flowers and sets seed, the seeds have got these pods on them that when you touch them they explode and just blast the seeds in all directions, and that's when you end up with a situation like this where you just can't fight it anymore. Unfortunately, that's the sad truth of many areas across the world where species invaders get in and destroy the way that these places should look. So let's not dwell on that too long. I just thought I'd make that point, because if I can get one person to pull one balsam plant up in a woodland where it hasn't got hold yet, then I've done a good job this morning. Never be afraid to have a little play when you see something, because a lot of what I've photographed today is something, let's say, that I saw, and definitely in the realms of what I've been trying to photograph in terms of more creative little vignettes of photographs. But I definitely like to play with potential, even though it's not apparent when you see it. There are little things that you notice and they make you think to yourself, I wonder if I can make anything of that. And the reason I'm saying that now is because behind the camera is something that I'm going to do just that with. So we've got a big scar on the hillside here where there's been a bit of a landslide, and over time, if you look up there, you've got some beautiful mosses that are hanging down over the rock face. Now, what I've noticed is that in the water, with the movement, I'm not sure it comes across that well on the video camera, but there's lots of different tones and colours in the water. Lots going on, plus the ripples on the surface, and of course you've got the bubbles moving around. And I know that pictures of bubbles moving around in water isn't anything new and unique, but I do like the way that these colours are integrating with all that. And I might just spend 10 minutes here just having a little play around with those colours to see if I can come up with anything. In fact, the more you zoom in on those areas, the more you can sort of see what I'm driving at. There's definitely something there. I'm not sure what, but there is definitely something. I'm not too keen on this branch that's coming in on the left. Hopefully I can arrange something to exclude that, but you can see there's definitely something. That's got to be worth 10 minutes of my time. Very interesting indeed, very abstract, and what I've realised is that it absolutely 100% needs the sunshine. When I set it up and I could see that the clouds were clearing, I was in a bit of a panic thinking I was going to struggle, but having said that, now that the sun's come out, it's increased the contrast on the water surface, and it's also meant that I can get faster shutter speeds, because the bubbles, when they're moving round in the water, they create that lovely long exposure sort of lines that you get, but it's not really what I wanted, because the problem with that is with the long exposure you lose the ripple on the surface of the water, and it's that ripple that's creating all those lovely contrasting colours. So I need to keep that. It turns out that the bubbles are more of a distraction more than anything else, but overall I think it's quite a compelling image. Makes you look twice, makes you think what it might be, and the bubbles of course are what give the whole thing away at the end. But it is a very abstract and painterly picture, almost watercolour like. Let's have a look on the back of the camera. So this is the full frame image as you see it through the back of the camera. At the moment I've got it on a square crop, which actually I will put on so you can see that. ISO is 800 and 9.5 aperture and 90th of a second shutter speed, which is just about right. I do hope the sun goes in a little bit, because you can then see the difference, what it makes with the contrast that you get with the sun out. At the moment all the colours have got that lovely deep richness to them, which I will definitely have to enhance in post-processing, because it's just not enough as it is. It needs a little bit more punch to really come alive. There's lots of bubbles in the shot at the minute. There you go. So the light has gone out and you can really see that difference that the lack of contrast makes to the scene. In fact, that's perfect, because at the moment there is nothing to see other than bubbles. That's quite remarkable. But the sunshine makes a huge difference. And when that comes out, I will grab a few more. I am varying the aperture and shutter speeds ever so slightly, and I have taken some at different crop modes, and of course with it being a raw file, should I say, I can revert back to the full frame and cherry pick the composition that I want. But I am in the general ballpark area there, and I think there is something there, and definitely this is the type of shot that I really love when it comes together. There's nothing more satisfying than seeing something, creating an idea, working with it and building it to a final image. I will put that shot on now. Well, I think my time this morning has come to an end. I want to spend a little bit of time now just doing some more personal work. Time away from the camera, let's say, but I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'll put the images on now at the end. Some nice variety, I thought, this morning, and like I said earlier, not necessarily the obvious. So leave some comments below, let me know what you think of the images as always, and as I've been saying many times over the last couple of months, if you like this approach to photography, the mindful approach, the intimate landscape, then do check out my ebook, available on my website www.simonboothphotography.com, and get a copy today. So thank you all ever so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.